So, if your best project manager resigned tomorrow, would your projects continue to run the same way? If a new employee joined the firm, would they know exactly how your firm qualifies clients, reviews designs, approves changes, manages construction, or would they have to learn by watching somebody do these things? If you disappeared for 2 weeks for that matter, would your team be able to confidently make decisions without calling you? Or would you still be the bottleneck? Would everything quietly slow down until you returned? Because thing is that your business cannot operate without you. That means that you've not delegated anything. You've just postponed a bottleneck. There is of course a caveat. Total delegation without systematization, right, is also failure mode. We've seen firms where founder steps back, hands everything to a new operations director, a new leader, somebody, and quietly watch quality collapse within 6 months because there's no system to transfer. There are only tasks. The founder's intuition was not replaceable. Nothing had been documented. Delegation isn't absence, it's structured transfer. Most firms think that growth comes from hiring better people, and of course it does. It's a critical piece. But every new hire, if they have to figure out how things work around here, your business is not going to grow. It's repeatedly going to be rebuilding itself. Experience scales slowly, systems scale infinitely. Without consistent systems, every project manager develops their own habits. Every client receives a slightly different experience. Every mistake has to be solved by the smartest person in the room rather than the organizational structure itself. And eventually, what happens? Growth slows down. Why? Because demand did not disappear, sure, but the consistency did. The firms that scale, on the other hand, are not simply better at delivering projects, they're better at delivering projects predictably. And that's the difference between craftsmanship and predictability, i.e., operational maturity. So, where should you begin? Start with the decision that happen on every single project: client qualification, stakeholder approval, scope changes, risk assessment, project handovers. And then ask yourself one question: if three different people handle this process, would the outcome be same or similar? If the answer is no, then you've identified your next system. Here's a concrete example. A residential firm has a founder who approved every single fabric sample, every furniture specification, every procurement order. 40% team, $8 million revenue, but the founder was still the bottleneck, on every material decision. Then she went on a holiday. No contact, no email, no calls, completely unapproachable. Week 1, 12 decisions piled up in her inbox. Nobody knew her criteria for approving $400 per yard fabric versus a $200 alternative. They did not know the risk threshold for a vendor with a 6-week lead time. They didn't know whether she preferred to absorb a small cost overrun in the interest of preserving a client relationship or hold the line on budget. Week 2, 3 projects were delayed, 2 vendor orders missed the cutoff, and one client called, shouted to ask why nothing had moved forward. When she returned, she realized that she had to systematize her criteria so she could delegate things. And she built a decision matrix: fabric grade threshold by project budget tier, vendor risk ratings based on lead time variations, historical performance, and of course, client relationship value, lifetime value versus budget variation trade offs. 3 pages. All it took was a couple of hours to write. And 6 months later, after implementing it, she was beginning to approve 80% fewer material decisions. Quality did not drop. Customer satisfaction did not see a change, but the time that she used to spend on business development, that went up. People should be different. Processes should be standard. At Immaculate Platform, that's how we think about delegation, not as giving away responsibility, but as building repeatable decision systems that produce consistent outcomes regardless of who performs them. Because the goal is not to remove people from the process, the goal is to remove unnecessary variation from the process. Creative variation is the point. Operational variation, however, that's the problem because that's how organizations become predictable and scalable. That's how founders stop becoming the default answer to every difficult question. So here's my challenge for you. Think about the last decision somebody interrupted you for today. Then ask yourself, was I genuinely the only person who could have made that decision, or is my business simply missing a system? Because delegation is not letting go of control, it's about creating systems that make control, your vision, scalable. And that's how businesses grow without founders becoming the biggest and tightest bottleneck. Everything you've seen in this video and will continue to see as part of videos in this series is based on principles that we've spent years building into the Immaculate platform. If you'd like to experience them inside an operating system built ground up purely for design and architecture firms, start your free trial today at immaculate.co.in/trial. Thank you.